Sure. Hello, everyone. It's so great to see all of you. Welcome to the Fleming Falls Preserve Observation Deck fundraising kickoff event. Thank you for attending. I'm Jeff Burkett. I served as a variety of roles at Moana from 1975 to 81, kitchen counselor, PD. And I wanted to share with you that this observation deck seed was planted this past summer when the Richland County Park District hosted an open house at the preserve, hoping to find, brace yourself, $1 million donor to help save Oneida Lodge. Well, with the information that was shared with the public, an idea was presented of building a permanent structure to honor and remember the lodge if the money could not be raised to save the building. Well, as we all know, there was no $1 million donor, but a spark was lit. I'm not sure what part of his body, but it was Nicholas Swinehart, and he initiated a conversation about doing something within the Operation Arrowhead group Facebook page. And so in late summer, discussions began with a group of interested Moana alums and campers. 4 months of diligent work and gargantuan effort later, we are proud to host this launch of the Fleming Falls Preserve Observation Deck Capital Campaign. So everyone please lean forward toward the camera and say the sound, ooh, with your eyes bulging. Go. Ooh. So tonight, we want to answer the who, what, where, when, why, and how questions for this project. And we have a number of presenters who will do just that. Speaking of questions, if you have any questions, we would respectfully ask that you save those inquiries for our Q&A period toward the end of the presentation. However, if you have a quick clarification question on the topic that's being presented that could be speedily answered, feel free to send it in the chat function, and we have the lovely Kelly who is monitoring that. So is everyone hearing that? Please bobblehead yes if you hear that. I see some bobbles. That's nice. That's nice. Last piece of logistic and providing full disclosure, we want to share that this Zoom meeting is being recorded so that others who might not be able to attend this evening can view this presentation when they're able. And we hope that this is motivation enough for most of you to behave. Okay. All right. Our theme for this capital campaign is stewardship, giving thanks for the past and the future. And as we all know, there have been a handful of stewards who have been the caretakers of this beloved property over the years. And we thought it would be nice for you to hear from the current steward of the property, the Richland County Park District. So I would like to introduce and have you all please welcome a true friend and a soul sister of the Moana community. Please welcome Park Commissioner Cheryl Harner.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for allowing me to attend this evening. That's very nice of you. And one of the things that I never expected when I took on this job with Richland County Park District is meeting so many new friends, so many wonderful new Moana friends. And although my background is a little different than maybe yours, I've been on the Richland County Park District as a commissioner for 4 or 5 years. I was a volunteer and an employee before that. I have a lot of background working with the Ohio Division of Natural Resources, with wildlife, with natural areas and preserves. I've been an Audubon president. I'm just into all kinds of nature things. And yet, I don't think we're all that different, you and I. I think that you have a love of nature because you respect the Creator, and the Creator brings you to appreciate His nature. For me, maybe it comes a little bit the other direction, that I love nature so much that it illuminates the Creator for me. And so it's a pleasure to be able to work with you, and that I know that you love Moana and the land so much, and I just want you to know that I'm here to help preserve and protect that for all of our children and our grandchildren, that it didn't become some private social club or something that you wouldn't have access. So this could be the very best of both worlds, and it's been my pleasure to meet you. I'm here basically to announce the good news that the Richland County Park District had a meeting on the 30th of November, and the Board of Commissioners unanimously voted that we would, I want to see the wording of this. Let me put it over here. That we would approve the concept drawing, and that we have support, and that the supporters are encouraged to go ahead and launch this fundraising. And we will be working with you and be the friends of the friends, I suppose. And I'm just here to cheer you on.
Thanks, Cheryl. Everyone, A-OK sign. Do that for Cheryl. I look forward to all of you meeting her. She is a Wonder Woman. And I know that the movie studios aren't making many movies now, but we could make a new one and it would feature her. And I look forward to many of you meeting her, because you'll be as awed as I have been. So thank you, Cheryl, for joining us.
Thanks
All right.
for inviting.
Thank you. All right. So our first question tonight, why? Why a Fleming Falls Preserve observation deck? Why are we embarking on this adventure? Well, there's no better person to explain why than the world-renowned, yet notoriously unofficial Camp Moana historian emeritus, Pastor Phil Carl. Pastor Phil, are you there?
I'm here. It's quite an introduction, Jeff. My goodness sakes. Former camper, former staff member, and perennial chaplain. You know, Oneida Lodge, I think, is the heart of Camp Moana, the heartbeat of the place. It was my favorite place. I mean, even more favorite for me than Fleming's Falls. I just loved to be there, and it had a sense of home to it. I want to tell you a little bit about how that building came to be. In the early 1900s, the Cleveland Southwestern Trolley Line announced plans to build a line all the way from Cleveland down through Columbus, eventually to Cincinnati. And it would run very, very close to Fleming's Falls. Just as soon as some entrepreneurs heard about that, they constructed a building in 1906, which was called the Fleming House. Now, from 1906 to about 1928, there were maybe about 4 different owners of the Fleming House, and operated the entire area as a resort. Not only the lodge, but there were some little log cabins around the hillsides too. So people could come out and they could sit on the front porch, or they could spend a weekend. It was a very, very popular picnic area. Long before the Fleming House was built, it had been a popular picnic area, all the way from the time that it had been a grist mill that John Fleming had built. But the focal point was always this huge mammoth structure, which had some features of buildings built in the Adirondacks. And its character defining features, you know so well. I mean, just its shape, the stone foundation, the round porch, which at one time had a Queen Anne conical roof to it. And then the most defining characteristic of all is its 85-foot long front porch with timbers and railings, which were hewn from native timber. And that's what we remember so much about the Fleming's House, which was still called that then when, they operated as a resort. My distant ancestors were owners of it for a few years, and were the ones that had brought a Ferris wheel and a merry-go-round up to, well, what we called Chapel Hill, and operated that as a resort. Vaudeville performers would come in during the summertime, and it was a very, very, very popular place. But it was really only popular for about 22 years until the automobile came along and people started going other places, and the place went bankrupt and was sold at sheriff's auction. Along comes Camp Averyhand, who picked it up and then operated as a camp for about 10 years. And you know the story from there. The Lutheran Church bought it in 1941, convinced the synod to buy it, and then operated as a camp for over 75 years. I am so pleased that the Richland County Park District now is going to operate it as a preserve. You know, I mean, this has been a treasure which just, you know, us camp people have enjoyed, but going forward, this is going to be a treasure which is going to be open from sunrise until sunset, and anybody can come out and enjoy it. You'll hear more about the specifics of, you know, recreating this front porch of Oneida Lodge. I personally am looking forward to sitting in that corner. I'll pony up for the Bentwood Rockers. We'll put Bentwood Rockers there, and we're going to sit and we're going to tell Camp Moana stories. And then down below, and this is one of the best parts, is planned this picnic area where the dining hall used to be, or some call it the junior dining hall. And there'll be picnic tables down there. And I'd like for all of us, you know, to gather around those picnic tables and sing the songs and tell the stories which connected us with each other and with God's good creation.
Pastor Phil, you're amazing. Everyone, enthusiastic thumbs up on the screen so he can see. Thanks, Pastor Phil, very much. So there's the why. It's a building worth remembering, and for this and the space and the legacy of this space. So now the next question is, what would this Fleming Falls Preserve observation deck look like? So please help me welcome the man with the plan, Darryl Rogers. Darryl, you have the floor. Take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. Can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up if you can. Excellent. Yes, I'm Darryl Rogers. I'm an architect, but more importantly, I am the husband of Kim Toot Rogers. And Kim was a camper for 6 years and a staff member from 86 to 88 at Moana. She's been involved in the Operation Arrowhead group. And as you know, because of why we're here tonight, the discussion started centering on this project. And I was volunteered to serve as the architect for this project. So I, of course, accepted that role because Moana was a huge part of Kim's early life. And it's a special place for her. So I'm honored to be part of it and glad I'm part of it. I started an architectural firm in Columbus about 20 years ago called Roger Quay Architects. And our firm is a really great fit for this project because we work with a lot of city and county park systems. We also work on a lot of historic buildings. We work with nonprofits, community, mission-based organizations, and religious clients. So it's a good fit, and it almost seems like, you know, good things happen for a reason. So I want to walk you through our project, the design that we've created for this project. Nick, if you want to go ahead and put up that historic image. Are you going to do a full screen of that, Nick? Yeah. Has everybody got that on their screen? 1 second. There it is. This is what Pastor Carl was just describing to you. This is I don't know what year this photo is from, but this is the one that really inspired me. As Pastor Carl described, it was a grand old lodge with some Queen Anne influences, but also that Adirondack style that makes it feel like it's at home in the woods. The project, the design we've come up with, it's going to be a lasting tribute to the rich history and the people of Camp Moana. Our design for the observation deck project will also benefit Richland County as this beautiful site transitions to becoming the Fleming Falls Preserve. The observation deck will directly honor the original Fleming House, the Oneida Lodge building, by utilizing salvaged stone and the wood elements that you see in this photo. The wood columns that were hewn from the trees, the railings. We're going to try to even save some of the porch ceiling materials, the wood ceiling boards. So it's all about saving what we can save. And of course, we're saving the stone that wraps around the foundation of this beautiful veranda. Nick, if you could go to the next image, please. This image is a site plan / floor plan of the new observation deck we're proposing. So a lot of work was put into documenting the existing conditions before any demolition took place. We wanted to make sure of two things: that we understood the layout of the veranda, but that we also worked with Cheryl Harner, who was invaluable in hooking us up with a surveyor from Richland County, who ended up documenting the footprint of the lodge building, and it ties it down dimensionally so that when the building is demolished, we can actually lay out the new observation deck in the exact same location as it always sat. So thank you to Richland County and Cheryl for helping us do that survey work. The layout of it is pretty simple. You all understand and remember the veranda on the left side of this drawing. And by the way, north is up on this drawing. The left side of the drawing is the recreated stone element with the stone walls and the columns, and there'll be a concrete slab floor there. And then to the right of that, the dark shaded area is where we'll recreate that portion of the southern part of the veranda going east and west. That will be a wood deck structure on the main level. And then underneath that, there'll be a lower level that you'll be able to access, and that will be underneath the deck structure and open to the south towards the park. Excuse me. So just north of this, it doesn't show on this image, but where the cursor is right now, to the north of our location, if you can move that up there, there'll be a parking lot created, and that parking lot will allow visitors to come and park their car, and then they'll walk down the hillside there, and there will be a path leading you to the observation deck. So the observation deck will essentially serve as a symbolic and a functional gateway to the Fleming Falls Preserve. And the layout basically sets this up so that it's the first thing you experience when you come to the new nature preserve. So makes it really special. So Nick, if you could go to the next slide, please. This view shows the observation deck. You're basically looking from the southeast towards the northwest. So this is a 3D computer model view. You see the wood structure of the main level in the foreground, and then underneath you see the lower level where there's a concrete slab. And so we're reconstructing a deck that's in the same layout as the original veranda. There probably will be more new wood structure in this than there is original, but we are going to put the original timbers in, and there will be also code compliant rails. You can see the light horizontal lines. There'll be a horizontal cable rail system that allows us to be building code compliant, but we're still going to use the old timber rails as a hearkening to the past, even though they don't meet today's building codes. They'll be out in front of the code compliant aluminum and cable rail system. if you can envision this observation deck, it's not just going to recreate history, it's also going to provide programmatic space. We can envision educational programs occurring here. And as was mentioned earlier, people can picnic here, we can put picnic tables there. There'll be abilities for chairs to be set up. And there can be educational and nature programming with school groups and the general public. So there's a lot of programmatic opportunities, along with this being a beautiful place to maybe just sit and contemplate the hike you're going to go on, or to sit and discuss your hike after you're done. We're also going to integrate signage. I don't know if you can see, Nick, if you could point to one of the signage elements. There's some small rectilinear elements that are just above the railing. We're going to do historic information signage along the perimeter of the observation deck. The idea is to tell the story about the site, to tell the story about the history of the Fleming House, about, of course, the history of Camp Moana. And those signage panels will be professionally created, and they'll be integrated into the railing system. So they'll feel like they belong there, but they'll also tell the story of this place. Nick, if you could go to the next slide. This is a view from the northeast looking southwest. So this is the view you would see as you come from the parking area down the hill towards the observation deck. And you can go to the next slide, Nick. This is my favorite view of our proposed observation deck design. This shows our 3D computer model actually superimposed into the photograph of the site, exactly where it will sit. So the woods around it are the actual site. So our proposed design will provide a lasting tribute to the history of the site, the legacy of Camp Moana, while providing Richland County and all the visitors who come to this place in the future a welcoming gateway and a functional venue for programs and events. It's a special place to begin and end your visit to the new Fleming Falls Preserve. I'll turn it back over to Jeff now.
Thanks, Darryl, very much. Everyone, round of applause. Darryl Rogers. Darryl, we're not sure how much choice you had in choosing to embark upon this adventure with us, but we're grateful that you have. And thanks, Tim. All right, so we've heard the why and the what. Now on to how and when. Okay, here we go, Sir Nicholas. So our project estimate, this is a rough estimate, but the architects chose a number, and so they are the ones experienced with this. The magic number is, Sir Nicholas, $425,000 for the total estimated cost of the project. But we need to place a big asterisk here because, wonderfully, amazingly, we have a single donor who is willing to match what we raise up to $200,000. I hope that you're gulping as much as I did when I first heard this, because it's an amazing tribute. But this person feels strongly about this building and this place, and this is the commitment that they have made. So even if you're in third grade, you should be able to subtract those numbers so you can see that our total amount that we need to raise is a mere $225,000. So I see a question here from Seth. Do we want to answer that now, Darryl, or do we want to wait?
I don't see the question.
It was in the chat. Yeah. Seth, do you mind if we come back to it?
Absolutely. That question is from my 5th grade son, Zachary, a former camper.
Oh, well, I think he's worthy to answer it now. I mean, it's a fifth grader, so there's some priorities in life. Fifth graders are priority. So what was the question again? I think it was why isn't the observation deck 2 levels?
You want me to answer that, Jeff?
That's
Yes,
the question.
it actually
Well,
is 2 levels.
It actually is. We have the main level, which is at grade, and then underneath the main level, there is a lower level. So it is just like the original veranda. It has the 2 levels to it.
Yeah, I see that, but Oneida's originally was 3 floors, but the bottom floor counted as a cafeteria, not. But I'm not understanding why can't the roof on top of that be another observation deck?
Oh, okay.
Well, it
That
could
was
be.
my question. Not
That's a great
the
question.
bottom half.
Yeah, it's a great question. It could be, but we wanted to be pretty literal about recreating the actual veranda that was always there. So what we are showing you tonight actually is a recreation of the layout and the different levels that always existed there. So could we add another floor onto it? Yes, but we chose not to do that because we wanted it to really look just like the original lodge.
Thanks, Darryl, and thank you for your great question. Are you enjoying online school? Are you in school or are you doing it online?
We're both in school and out school.
Okay. Well, you have a great holiday and thank you for your great question. Okay, so we are raising $225,000 and how's that going to happen? Good question. Next slide, please, Nick. Most of you might have been involved with certain capital campaigns, either with your church or organization, and usually there's some kind of chart indicating how we can reach a goal. Well, here's our chart, and it simply provides a different category of levels for giving, how many giving units there are in each, the total amount of the gift, and the total of $425,000. You might notice the 219 number that's at the bottom of the second column. If you think about all the people that have been Moana aligned over the years, I mean, just using Facebook numbers, there's over 4,000 people aligned with the 3 Facebook pages, but think about their family or parents or other family members or connections. We're only looking for 219 people to provide a monetary donation. But what I think is interesting about these levels is you go from ravine to the bottom for and I say this with loving kindness, a mere leaf. I mean, leaves are important. Photosynthesis, chlorophyll, it happens. But look underneath leaf and you see the roots. Roots are vital to anything that grows. And we recognize and totally understand that not everyone can give money. So we want you to know that there's going to be opportunities for people to give other things besides money. And the number of people that would be innumerable. The amount of the gift, immeasurable. And the total value, invaluable. And we're going to share some opportunities with you. Nick will here in a little bit with our donor volunteer page for the Fleming Falls Preserve for the future. So I want to share that. I also want to make very clear that this is a one-time gift. We're asking for a one-time gift. And we definitely do not want to have anyone think that we're asking you to sacrifice any other current charitable gifts that you're making to a variety of places. We all know this is a tough time. There are people that are hungry. There's food banks. There are all sorts of things that are happening. And if we are not asking you to make a choice between, supporting those in this, we're asking you to include this with your giving choices. And if you are currently a supporter of outdoor ministries, we encourage you to keep doing that. They, as well as all camps and other places in our country that are serving youth, need our help because of the pandemic. So we encourage you to have this be an add-on, but not to sacrifice what you're already planning on giving to other choices that you've made. Next slide, please, Nick. Thanks. We do want to provide a couple incentives, if you could call up that. I mean, you know, everyone can be motivated by different things. I want to share the name of someone that most of you might have heard of. His name's Joel Larkin. He's the youngest of 3 children of Pastor Ken Larkin and Beverly, and he has been doing a lot of work with Cheryl at the preserve. But one of the jobs that he wasn't not paid for was a little request from the steering committee, and that was to take out a number of panels from the 2nd story, what we call the intermediate hill dining hall, or in the retreat season, just the main lodge room. He took out some of the knotty pine panels, and we would like to offer a commemorative gift made of the knotty pine for anyone that gives $500 or more. We can't say with certainty what that will be, but we're leaning toward Christmas tree ornament. But we don't know what size it will be. It'd be great for it to be really small because we want a lot of $500 givers. But that's what we're thinking of. But if you give $500 or more, you would receive a little piece of the knotty pine from Oneida for posterity. If you give $1,000 or more, Nick, thanks, your name will be placed on the commemorative panel that will be part of the Fleming Falls observation deck on the lower tier. So in the dining hall, so to speak, there's going to be a number of cool pictures and other things that are listed on that or posted on that concrete wall. So your name will be listed there. For those that give $5,000 or more, your name will be listed as a leadership gift in that same place. Obviously, as I mentioned before, not everyone can give money, and we totally get that. So anyone, spacebar, Nick, anyone or any group that gives any amount or makes any kind of in-kind donation or contributes materials or supplies or volunteers to help, you know, I don't know if we have any masonry experts here in this group tonight, but we're going to have to redo some stonework. But any kind of sweat equity in the project, your name will be posted and recognized on a website that we will have showing the history of the site. Actually, those wayside exhibits that Darryl described with the panels, we're going to have a QR code there. And if people are interested in receiving more information, they just click the QR code with their phone. It'll take them to the website, and they'll be able to read more about the legacy of that site. But that's where those individuals will be listed. Next slide, Nick, thanks. So obviously, some things that would naturally occur in our minds would be, what if we don't reach our financial goals? And we realize that it's a rough time, and we understand that. Obviously, if we don't have received the number of gifts that we want or pledges to meet that, then the scope, the size of the project would have to be reduced. But the spirit of the project would still remain the same. So that's basically the answer to what if we don't reach our $225,000 goal. On the other end of the spectrum, what if we exceed our goal? Well, that's easy. There are a lot of other things that the money can be used for at the Fleming Falls Preserve. And I mean, there are lots of things. So there are a lot of options there, and I'm not going to say anything specific because we all know that there are things that need to be done. So if there's more, thank you, Jesus, for the generosity of people, but we'll find a way to have it be useful to use at the preserve. I do want to say that this is a privately funded gift, and so we are funding this on our own. We are not giving the money to the park district to build the project. We are doing it ourselves, so as a gift to the park district. Next slide, Nick, please. So obviously, the $425,000 estimate of the project, I mean, that might be modified through a variety of options. again, obviously we would have to pay contractors or have less paid contractors if we have people that are skilled to volunteer to help us with the making of the observation deck, or companies that provide materials and supplies. That's helpful, then we wouldn't have to purchase it. There are some opportunities perhaps that we can leverage some other funds through the Clean Ohio Conservation Fund, which is one of the two groups in which Richland County Park District utilized in order to receive the property. And last but not least, how much does it really cost? And how much does it take for us to recreate the stone bottom? So these are all things that are contingent and could influence the total price tag. So Lorna, we're gonna do all these questions. I see some people that are asking questions, so we're gonna save those to the end if you don't mind. But we'll come back to you, I promise. So that was the how. Here's the when. Our capital campaign, we hope to run from starting today through the end of February. So 2.5 months. We hope to have that amount of, well, we are going to have that amount of time to raise the $225,000. After that, it will take Darryl's architect firm another 8 to 10 weeks to do phase 2, what we call phase 2, where they will design the final schematic design of the project, depending on the amount of money that we raise or pledges, and the construction documents that will be prepared to give to the construction companies to bid, which is the next bullet point. So once we have those specifics of what the construction will be, the bidding process and permit seeking will take another 5 to 7 weeks. And then finally, of course, we're estimating it taking 13 to 15 weeks for the actual construction of the project. So if you take the idealistic version of all those numbers on the left-hand side, the low numbers, we're looking at mid-September. Go ahead, Nick. And the later numbers, it would be late October. Regardless, the colors are gorgeous then. So it's a great time to open a observation deck. One more. I don't think I have one more slide, do I, Nick? That's it. Okay, so that's the how and when. Nick, I'm open here. Do we want to answer the questions that have been asked so far that relate to what we just covered versus waiting until the end?
I think if we can address those questions that just came up, I think that's okay.
Sure. Kelly, can you help me here? Do you know how many are
Sure.
those all 20, are those all 23 questions?
No. So
Okay.
we really have 2 questions. One was about a gift shop. And while we don't have a plan for a gift shop actually at the observation deck, we may be selling some merchandise online, and that may go to contribute to the project. So watch for that in all the Facebook pages and websites. The other question was, has the park district accepted to maintain the structure, to committed to ongoing maintenance after we build it?
Cheryl, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, it is an outdoor structure, and we recognize that, 20, 30 years down the road, there might be some maintenance, but would you be able to speak to that at all?
Right. Sure. So as you know, there are lots and lots of structures that still remain that we are really carefully weighing and balancing at this point. For example, the retreat center, which we might call the conference center, the Oswego, which would be a fantastic opportunity used for youth education. So we'll be having funds, and we're planning on having endowments. And so we would encourage you to help us endow the maintenance of not only this building, of course, we would, that's part of receiving a gift, is saying that, yes, this is something I'm interested in, and we want to continue to care for it. And so we're looking at those things very carefully. I keep thinking if we keep the retreat center, as a conference center, that would be a wonderful place to have a little office gift shop. And of course, I would think your fine folks should have a wall there for your own contributions.
Thanks, Cheryl. And obviously, if we exceed our gift, I mean, we could allocate some money for the future maintenance and repair of the observation deck.
Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. Okay, so there we go. That's the why, the what, when, and the how. Next up, where? Where might we find some resources that feature the main components of this project, and where might we be able to make a donation? Up first is the University of Chicago media guru himself, Nicholas Swinehart, followed by the amazing Jonathan Eilert. Okay, gentlemen, you're on.
All right, great. So, hello everyone. My name is Nick Swinehart. You can hear me, correct? Okay, great. So I was a camper at Moana, mostly family camper, from the time I was 1 year old. I don't know how many months I was. Mom, you're in here, but so from 1 to 10 or so, I was a family camper, and then I was away for a little while, but then came back and was a staff member I was a counselor for 2 years, and then day camp program director for 4 summers. So I'm very happy to be contributing to this. So here is the website, the address. Please stay with me. Don't go there right now. You can write it down. We'll put it in the chat. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll put it in emails. So, but the address is ffpobservationdeck.com. That's ffpobservationdeck.com. One more time, ffpobservationdeck.com. Visit tomorrow or later tonight. Not right now. I'll show you things right now. Also, just so you know, if you visit on a phone, it might look a little wonky. I'm still learning about, responsive design and all that stuff, but this is just to prove that when you're on a computer, it does look perfectly good. Also, the menu up here. So I'm going to give a quick tour of the site. I know this menu button, it's kind of hard to see, but once you start scrolling down, the menu is easier to see. And so the main layout of the page is, we'll take a look at each of these pages, but the donate page is the big one that you'll get to eventually. Design, history, about the preserve, FAQ. We'll look at each of these in turn, but just know that the menu is the best place to find those things. Let me just refresh this. So as you scroll down the page, again, you'll come and look at this tonight, tomorrow, sometime soon, I hope. And some more links to navigate the site, the kind of campaign summary right here. And then again, this one will take you to how to donate. Down here, there's a button here that says reach out to us. I mean, Jeff and I will kind of take turns. This is an email address that Jeff and I will take turns keeping an eye on, but also if you're able to just reach out to one of us directly, that's probably a quicker way to get an answer for your question. So let's go to the design page. Now, a lot of this is what we just heard from Darryl. So you can kind of scroll down and see how the new design kind of replicates what was there originally. Thank you very much to Kelly Swinehart Ware. It sounds weird to say my sister's full name like that, but yeah, thank you, Kelly, for helping to condense some of this stuff for the common person. And so again, basically what Darryl had said, condensed a little bit, and all of the images here on the design page. For the history page, we have a lot of what Pastor Phil said earlier. So big thanks to Pastor Phil and to Chris Cornell McCready for putting this together. So this kind of walks you through the complete timeline. I don't know if it's complete, but all the way back to the original stewards and through the years. One thing to keep in mind is this website is designed for the average person who might be visiting this page and learning about the site, right? So this event tonight is primarily for camp people, but eventually we hope to, spread the word among people in the local community. And so some of the things on the site are not just playing up the Camp Moana angle, but kind of how does this tie into the local community as well. So you can scroll down through and see all the history. Down at the bottom of this page, there are quite a few pictures from the history of Oneida. So you can just kind of visit there and click through some of these. It's fun. Okay, next page is about the preserve. This again is kind of a very quick introduction that, you know, most of us know this again, but people who may be new to, who live in the area might be new to all this. This kind of talks a little bit about the preserve. There are a lot of beautiful photos contributed by Martin and Maggie Patrick. So if you kind of click through here and go along this kind of takes you on a walking tour of the preserve. And so I think it's a beautiful way to kind of let people know about the beauty that is there. And I'll get to the donate page in just a second. The FAQ page, you can click on either of these and it will jump down to the section that's appropriate, but there's a bunch of questions. So when we, you know, when we're done tonight, I mean, we might talk about some of these, but just know that you can go to the FAQ page and look through some of these frequently asked questions. Okay, finally, the donate page. So as we may have said so far, but Prince of Peace Lutheran Church in Loveland, Ohio is going to be, I mean, there are many things that this project would not have gotten off the ground without, including Darryl and also this Prince of Peace. So Jonathan Eilert's church has volunteered to kind of coordinate the fundraising logistics. Jonathan's going to talk about that in just a second. But on this donate page, Jonathan's going to talk about all of these ways to give and making a pledge. Down here is the giving opportunities that should look familiar, information about the incentives. And then right here is the link to the volunteer form, where again, if you come and enter your information and what types of things you can contribute and any skills, address, all that stuff. I'm going to share this with Deb McKee, who is the Park District Volunteer Coordinator, and she will use this to reach out for events, volunteer events and opportunities. Okay, so Jonathan, I think it's your turn.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Great to be with you tonight. I'm Jonathan Eilert, former staff member and pastor in Southern Ohio now. My wife, Suzanne, and I met at Camp Moana, summer of 1990, and both served on staff there. She started in 89 and I started in 90. Then I also served on the advisory board for Moana while I was a pastor up in Northeast Ohio. So it's great to be a part of this project. And one of the things as we began to talk about it that came up was we wanted to raise money fairly quickly, and we wanted to make sure that we had a secure way to do that in a way that we could have a good accounting of all the funds. And we talked about creating our own 501c3, which is something we might do at some point, looking at future support of the preserve and thinking about how we can provide some of that ongoing support that Cheryl was talking about for future projects and maintenance and so forth. But for now, for this project, because we wanted to get this going as quickly as possible, we felt that it'd be much more beneficial to simply tag on to some existing accounting structures and giving methods. And I volunteered our church to be a part of that. We've got a lot of kids that have gone to Camp Moana from our congregation, as well as former staff members. So there's a lot of love for Moana at Prince of Peace. And so it was a natural fit for us to be connected to this project. We use a software program. ACS is the name of the company. They have one of their products is called Realm that we use for all of our giving at the church. So there's a lot of automation to the system, which makes it ideal for a project like this. If you can click on that Give Now button, Nick. One of the things we're able to do is to set up separate campaigns for projects. And so this is essentially in our website, but not really. There's nothing about this that actually looks like our website. It won't be confusing with possibly giving to other funds. The only fund that's listed on here is the Fleming Falls project. So it's within the infrastructure of our giving portion of our website, but it's really dedicated to the Fleming Falls project. Again, ACS has all of the security protocols that you would want for your electronic giving. Everything is nothing is stored on our personal property. Everything is stored on their site behind professional firewalls. They're one of the largest companies that does church finance. So we feel very good about that. We've not had any problems with any security issues with them. We've been working with them for quite a few years now. So when you come to this site, there's an opportunity to put in the amount there. We put in that $100 amount. And obviously, as you looked at that chart, we would love to see some gifts that are larger than $100 as well. But that's a starting place for that. And obviously, you can put in something lower than that as well, if that's what you're able to contribute now. The other thing you can do there is you can give a gift over a longer period of time. So if you want to give $100 a month for several months, you can do that. And it's pretty self-explanatory the way that you would do that. Put in a starting date, an ending date, and your email address. And from there, it'll take you to a place where then you enter in your information for your credit card, and it goes from there. Again, we don't see any of that information. That's all handled by ACS. We'll have your email address, the amount you've given, but all of your information, your financial information, is secure within their site. I think that's all we need to talk about on this page. And again, I can take questions about that later if anything's unclear. And also there's a place on the donate page where you can reach out to me directly as well. If there are any questions that you have about giving, down at the bottom of the page somewhere, there's a way that you can be in
Looks
contact.
like I forgot that one, or it's on the, but I think it's on the, yeah, I need to add that, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. So that's one way that you can give is electronically. That certainly helps us out at Prince of Peace if you do that in terms of our own accounting. But however you feel comfortable giving, we're happy to receive those funds. So you can also send a check directly to the church. And so there's a button here to give by check that'll take you to a page where you'll have that information where you send that. As Nick said, that's where my phone number is there. You can also click on that button for email, and it'll send an email to me again if you have questions. We will send you back a receipt for any donation that you make. If you make an automated gift, electronic gift, there's an email that's generated automatically electronically that'll come right back to you as a receipt for your giving. Might take a little bit longer for the one to come back if you mail in a check, obviously, but we will, we're certainly committed, and that's part of our regular practice at the church to send you a receipt for your tax records. Another great way to make a gift, if choose to do so, is the gift of appreciated stock. If any of you have ever done that before, you know that it's a great way to not have to pay tax on the gains that you've made on that stock. A lot of folks look at some of their stock that's done really well and they say, boy, I couldn't afford to cash that in, and what a great way. They feel great about using that as a vehicle to handle their giving. So we can do that. Mutual funds, it can be an individual stock, mutual fund, any of those things can be handled through Charles Schwab. I didn't include any of this on the website, but there are some specific things in this year as well. And one of the reasons we wanted to get the fundraising started now is if people wanted to make a gift this year as opposed to next year, or in both years for tax purposes. But there are some specific things this year as part of the CARES Act that make gifts more attractive to make this year as well. And so you can do a little bit of research on that and find out more information. Or again, feel free to reach out to me and we can talk more about that.
There is actually, right here, there is a note about that in the FAQ.
Oh, great. The other thing we'd like to say is that as we do our planning, as we think about our work with Darryl and making the plans, the sooner we know what level people are going to be able to contribute, the better. Now, that doesn't mean we want you to simply make a quick gift tonight. We do want you to prayerfully think about that. What is it that you can do to help this project and to give as generously as you can? But if you're not able to make the gift immediately, if you are going to give a one-time gift and it's just an immediate gift, go ahead, do that, send the check in, or fill out the automated giving portion. Or if it's going to be a little while, or you're going to make multiple gifts over a longer period of time, we encourage you to click on this pledge button here, and that'll take you to a form where you can enter in your contact information and also the total amount that you plan to give. Now, we simply need to know the total. You might be giving that in multiple installments over a longer period of time. That's fine. We are asking that all gifts be made by June 30th. However, again, we are funding this project ourselves, and Darryl's going to have contractors that we're going to figure out who we're going to be working with, and we're going to have to pay them as we go along. And so we're going to have cash in hand in order to meet our timelines that we're looking towards. And we will put together a finance team that'll approve all the invoices. Those will be paid directly out of Prince of Peace. So again, we'll handle that finance part of the project as well. But we'll be working with folks to make sure that work is completed. And we're happy to have Joel there on the property, obviously talking with Cheryl as well about their satisfaction, and Jeff is part of that committee. And so we've got lots of folks that will be there to make sure that the construction oversight is happening, and our side of Prince of Peace will be handling the finance piece.
Everyone, take your hands, put them up against your face and go, wow. Everyone, yeah, wow, yeah. Nicholas, Jonathan, Prince of Peace Lutheran Church, we couldn't do any of this without you. Thank you so very, very, very much. It is.
Could we have
You're welcome.
two quick questions about giving from the chat?
Sure.
If we are going to give multiple gifts and schedule it on the Prince of Peace website, should we also complete the pledge section as well? Is question one.
So that's been an ongoing discussion that we've had, and I would say that would be great if you do. It's fine if you don't, as long as you've set that up on the automated side. But I think it would be helpful for us if you're doing a multiple giving thing, just to make sure there's clarity about what the total amount is that you're going to give, if you would fill out the pledge form.
And the next question was, is there a way to give gifts in memory of someone?
Yes, there is a way to do that, and we need to add that. We talked about that, but we did not put that into the initial information. One of the things we plan to do, if you give an automated gift through the website, is to follow up with an email to try to make sure we get all of your contact information. And I think that would be a great time to gather that information as well. But some of that we can certainly automate in the process. Nick can add a line in the pledge form where that can be indicated. And we should be able to add a line on the automated form as well. I will check with our business administrator tomorrow to see if that's possible. I think we can, but I'm not positive, because again, that's an ACS vehicle that we're using, and there's certain limitations on that, but we will check on that one way or another. Certainly, we think that's a great idea for people to make memorial gifts or in honor of gifts as part of this project.
And with that follow-up that Jonathan just mentioned, from this, besides Prince of Peace, there will also be a follow-up with us from the steering committee. And so if the person would want to designate in honor of or in memory of with that gift, we can make sure that that's communicated through with those follow-ups. Make sure that's designated at the appropriate time. Is that all, Kelly, for there in the chat?
Yes, that's also right now.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so can everyone repeat the questions we've had answered? First one was why? what, when, how, and where. There's only one left. Anyone care to guess what it is?
Who?
Who? Thanks, Carrie. It's who. So who's going to make this project happen? Here to share his wisdom is a person among the many who's who of Intermediate Hill counselors, the Raj who doesn't dodge from being inspirational. Please welcome Pastor Roger Quay. Roger, you need to unmute yourself. Roger, you need to unmute yourself.
There, can you hear me now? Good. Thank you, Jeff, and everybody else that's here tonight for this great thing that we're doing together. Who is you? That's who we need for getting this. And I guess I need to start off by, I've been a camper, counselor, program director, served also on Bible staff and various concerns and on the Lutheran Moana board and then the Moana board and such. And I have a family lineage also that's also served at camp. But anyways, tonight I want to announce that at 3:50 in this afternoon, we had already pledged by the steering committee, 100% of the steering committee put forth in pledging to this effort. So they're totally behind this. $29,250. That's from the steering committee. So that's great for those of you that have already participated. And I know some might have just put some gifts in there to say, yes, I have contributed and possibly will contribute even more in the future. But thank you for those of you that have already given your gifts and your leadership gift that you've given. This is really an opportunity, as many sung the song, Pass It On, to be stewards of this place. It's a stewardship of, as we said, past and the future. The Richland Park now is the future of this place that we know as Moana. And so as we come into this place, that'll be the observation deck. It's literally going to be kind of the front porch or the first place here that they see of this beautiful area, this preserve that they're taking care of for all of us. And I mean, all of this, I mean, by not just Moana people, but people throughout the world, because it's part of God's creation and we know all belongs to God. And I really like what Cheryl said at the beginning of our understanding that we come from a little bit different, but we still love the land and we want to take care of this gift. And this is a way that we can continue to do it. So getting to the who, and also as Jonathan said, prayerfully consider. So you don't need to rush tonight, but to ponder and think the next few days, how might you give to this? And maybe to help you think about it, perhaps you want to give in memory of somebody or in honor of somebody. Who might that be? Who may they be? Maybe it's a fellow staff member that you want to give something in honor of. Perhaps it's an administrative staff person. And here there's lots of different administrative, just the office. And I'm just picking a couple through my few years there. The office of Lark, Ellie, and Alverna, or PJ Kinsvater, or Eric Kretzman. Or what about the staff at Oneida? Ruth or Helen, or one of the other many cooks that have fed us in a place that we broke bread there at Oneida. How many times, and we're fed and love to go down and sing there. And also, what about our caretakers, Virgil, Al, and Gary? Again, just to name a couple of folks. Perhaps, I know I was kind of saying, yeah, one of my groups that I was there at camp during the 70s, maybe the group of counselors from the 70s, we want to get together and make a gift and say, this is from, the 70s, or pick a particular year, like maybe my first year on staff of 76. Try to contact all the people from 76 and say, what gift as a group can we give to this preserve? Maybe you might want to say, what about anybody who ever stayed in Mandan or Amici, just to pick a cabin from each of the hills, and not just counselors, but if you were a camper there. And I know that'd be a little bit more difficult. And then another thing to think about, especially as we're coming here to the season of Christmas, ending with our Advent season. I know at my house, it's kind of like, all right, Jen, what do you want for Christmas? I went out shopping lately, and yeah, I know you bought this and this, and I just kind of, hey, where did that new coat go? Christmas is coming. I don't know what to get her. And there's no way I'm going to try to buy clothes for my wife. It's always the wrong size. So it's either a gift card or I take what she already bought and give it to her later. But perhaps maybe this year you would like to give a gift to that person and give it to the Fleming Falls Preserve observation deck. And that's the way the gift is given. Perhaps you want to get together as a group of family members that say, hey, what are we going to get mom this year? And so together, if you've had several people that have been part of Moana, go together and give mom, dad, aunt, uncle that gift. Another thought, what about going to your parents and saying, hey, mom, I know you really thought Moana was important in my life, and I'm glad for that. And for me this year, I think a great gift you could give would be to give a gift in honor of me to the Fleming Falls Preserve observation deck. A lot of our folks that are, 60 and older, and especially older than that, when IRAs become renewed each year, there's a certain part that they have to take out. That might be a gift they can give this next year early on when they're considering it. So there's a lot of wealth in some of the older generations that we have. So not just thinking of myself, but who's been influential in our life, an aunt or an uncle that might be willing to make a gift to camp because they know how important camp was to you or to your family and to everybody. And kind of the last two things, contact 5 people. If you don't see them here tonight, contact them and ask them about giving to this project. We have the webpage that Nick has done a tremendous job of putting together for us. Introduce them to it and invite them to prayerfully consider a gift. And lastly, if you know someone that can contribute $5,000 or maybe more, let us on the steering committee know so that we can go and talk to them. Sometimes it can be hard to ask somebody for a gift if you've never done that before. And so there's a few of us that have done that and would be willing to go and talk for that larger gift. It takes some gumption to do it and knowing how to do it and how much to ask for. They know what you're coming for when they're asking. So let us know if we can help procure a gift from somebody, especially in the larger levels, because as you saw those, there are people that will give. Jonathan secured a gift the other week for us of $10,000. They're out there. Who would have thought we had someone that would give $200,000? Someone obviously is willing to do this and was asked and willing to put this money forward. So let us know. I think that pretty much covers the waterfront, Jeff, with what we need of who. It's us. We know that, and I think Jeff put it out there, 219 people that we know of in those gifts, and there's more people out there. So I think we can give to this. There's many different things, especially at this particular time, that are needy, but a one-time opportunity we're asking for at this particular time. So thank you, and prayerfully consider this.